the influence of others could change people too. Like we could get changed. It's so weird. Bringing us to see our judgment and also to realize, like for me, I'm seeing like not only my judgment and my incorrect thinking, but how many people had a lot of incorrect thinking? Hi, this is a colorful foresight where we intuitively connect from within. And it's woo-woo time, where we connect our woo-woo into our mundane living. Of course, I want to bring up about politics. And in politics, I think in order to create that unity, one of the arrogant is to think that we know what's going on in a political sense. What side are we on? Like the other group sound crazy. They have no idea what's going on. I know what's going on. My side of the political side are totally great. But is that really listening? That's why we're having a hard time meeting in the middle. There's too much knowledge. Sometimes we have to let go of the knowledge.
Yeah, and I think it's very valuable to see the unseen of what we don't see in other people. To the person using the phone in a meditation next to me, I could hear my voices going, rah, 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 rah. But when I felt her crying, and I turned one time and I was facing the front, didn't see her crying. I turned and I saw her crying and I went, in that moment, I saw the unseen. The unseen is her unseen tears. And I'm not saying in America, go around and experience everybody's suffering. But in that moment, I got to see what I've been not seeing because of my arrogance. So it's okay. In the moment, I can whinge, I can protest, I can have any political standpoint. But if I completely shut down what that person's experiencing, we don't build community and nothing changes. So laws can happen anyway, right? Laws will be changed. Laws that support one group might come in. Laws that support another group might come in. We might have a new government then that changes those laws. But in the midst, underneath that, what really changes humanity, what really changes us, is that I can still complain, but at the end of it, I can connect to you and just say, hey, how you going? What's happening for you? And in that moment, I can help you. Because if I live next door to you, I want that to be my neighbour that would be able to help me in the moment. And you can have different views. That's fine. And we can fight for different laws. That's fine. But can we live together? That's a whole different experience.
So when we're talking about the political thing, having people get in touch with the inside and get over themselves. Like, how do I go inside and listen to the other person, listen to and go beyond the mind, the chatter and having to be right and going back to the arrogance. I know what the deal is. This the way it is. That's why we're not coming to the middle ground. There's signs everywhere. When I look at what's going around the world, it's a pretty obvious thing what's the universe is trying to communicate with us, even as a whole. Like, but we're not listening. Are we listening? Are we getting better at it? Do you feel like we're getting better at it? We're listening more as a society?
I think some people are making the effort to listen more, but we have a long way to go.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important to start listening to where there's conflict, to go beyond the conflict, to actually understand why is this person fighting for what they believe in. Because they're fighting because they believe in something. They're not fighting just to create conflict. They actually feel they're not being heard. They're not having their needs met. They feel like they want to champion the needs of others. So they're fighting for something. We need to understand what that is. We don't need to agree. We need to understand if we're going to move forward and come to some compromise.
That's from 2018, and you were right. I mean, we're still over here, 2023. And a lot of it had to do with the Judgment card. Also be seen at best, the liberation. So I feel like for 2024 and beyond, with political enlightenment, it's judgment to liberation. I can't imagine if people don't see that all the judgment they had. There was another video of this guy, he was a black guy, and he noticed that he had a little race in him and yada, 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 but it's freed him.
Your anger, your judgment, your hatred of yourself. They said, you got to start with you first. And they said, you've been doing that. Then they took me back to 2016 because that's when they started grooming me to move here. They had me write an article, and I said, I might be slightly racist with misogynistic tendencies.
Wow.
And they said, yes, you all have systemic things within you, no matter where you came from, that it's time to let them go. And
Yeah.
I had to be the example. And it was crazy because I'm writing this article and talking about these honest things that I thought, oh, if I saw Black people, I might be a little afraid. If I saw white people, I might be. That's all programmed.
Right.
That's within everyone. And then they said, look at where you grew up, your age. Women weren't equal, but why are you still making women separate? And this is the shift that's going on. So they said in this particular period, you're going to see a global shift, and we see it right now, where you're going to try to decide on if you want democracies or autocracies. And that's the shift, or if you want freedom for all or just for some. And they said it's going to be an economic shift as well. And we're seeing that happen. All the global markets and the whole bit, because you want something better. And the way you do that is by honoring who you are, every single person. And they said, we want you to remember that now because there's going to be upheaval. You have to uplift everything about you so that you can help the world. Then it said, you all have paths. You all have a divine plan that you are following, and it just shows up at a particular time. And they said, what is happening in our world right now is that you're all here, everyone alive, to move through your restrictions, your limitations, your doubt, your judgments, your prejudices, your biases, and start to own yourselves and bring in more love and light. So that's crazy. They said, that's all the work that we gave you in that entire time. So
I'm hoping like all our ugliness that was showing up here in the US, and I don't know, probably around the world, part of it is bringing us to see our judgment, and also to realize, like for me, I'm seeing like not only my judgment and my incorrect thinking, but how many people had a lot of incorrect thinking. So, and also how the influence of others could change people too. Like we could get change. It's so weird.
Yeah, that connects to one of the teachings we have with our teacher is our thoughts are not just our thoughts, but there is a collective thought sphere that we all are connected to. So unfortunately, your thoughts, when you get swayed by someone, it's very easy for humans to get swayed because we are connected through our thoughts. We like to think, oh, I have this political view. But actually, you could be just experiencing a group of people's views, or one person who has really anchored those beliefs. And also, when you grow up with certain views. That's your conditioning. It's sort of hard. We are still animals conditioned by our parents. So those views, they condition you and they become you, but they are not you. So the hardest thing with the judgment card is to see that you are not at fault if you have bad thoughts, or if you had incorrect thoughts. Maybe you mentioned incorrect thoughts. That doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means that you took these thoughts and then you started to do certain behaviors from the thoughts. And it's the enlightenment part is seeing, oh my gosh, do you see how I behaved from those thoughts? I think from 2018, it was interesting for me to see when you asked, are we listening better? I was like, some people are trying.
I mean, I would say now maybe we're at that phase. You said it's going to take time. It really still. So I think going forward, we needed so many years to go, oh my God. I could think of a few things like Black Lives Matters, the defund the police. I remember going, yeah. And then I was like, wait a minute. Why do we have to defund the police? Maybe reform the police. So something maybe at first I was like, yes. But then I was like, no, I don't like the wording of that. That could be shifted. You know, the thing that at first I was like, yeah. And then there was like Black love. And I was like, whatever. Because Black love was about a lot of people are not in Black love. They're not in that relationship because of the racism and the divided family. So at first I was like, yeah, whatever. I mean, not everybody are into that, but if they feel they have to do that. But then there were certain people who like, you can't do interracial. Black love is the best. And then it started getting like a little weird. You know what I mean? And then even with cancel culture, I'm sure I had thoughts. Cancel somebody, because God forbid they have different ideas. And I cut them off. I mean, you don't even have to be into cancel culture. That anything, somebody I disagree with, cut you off. So I experienced that. And then I realized, oh, that it doesn't look good, And I don't like the word woke. Woke originally it was created from, I think, of Black people, and it had to do with what's going on with society. And I remember like this comedian was like, oh, white people try to take it because, all the new age were saying that word awakening been for a while. And I remember being in the middle. It's like, neither are right. And now if you're a liberal, you're woke. And I'm like, how am I woke? And then people start using that. So it's like swaying of that word, like going, what most people don't even know what the word woke is. And I could be like, awakening, it's not like something that the new age are own, but that was going on for like
millennia and eons.
Right, but
It's
I'm
been
saying
for
like
eons.
if the new ager were like, no, we had that word, but there were the Mayan and all that before them. So nobody owned that word from awakening to woke. And right now the word woke is not even used correctly. So what I'm going with you that sometime I have fell into that drama. I got hooked into it. And sometimes I'm thinking I'm supporting a cause. Then I'm like, wait a minute, I don't have to believe in everything like I believe in Black Lives Matter, but then you hear about people who abuse it. But that can happen. Red Cross, they're known to, where did that money go to too, as well. But the bigger picture, they have helped a lot of people, just like the bigger picture of Black Lives. And then the whole fight between All Lives Matters and Black Lives Matters, I felt like being the middle child. I'm like, both of you matter. I can't be for Black Lives Matter, and I'm not going to say all lives don't matter, but God forbid, if I said all lives matter, then you're, certain way. But if I say Black Lives Matter, it's ridiculous, So I'm like, everybody lives matter. It's all in context. That's what I was trying to say. So it's all about judgment. I feel like in 2023, especially in 2018, we were still very heavy into that. But after all that knocking of the head and fighting, we're tired. We're going into that liberation period where we're seeing in a different way. And that's why, Angela, I brought up the last, 3-4 minutes about not about profession. We could fall into that. And you just like anything, you correct yourself, you hear from your intuition, and so on. You're allowed to change your mind. So I feel like that's going to happen in 2024 and beyond, but it's happening now.
It is happening. Your question from 2018 really resonated with me, like, are we listening better? And I think that's still the question. How are we listening? How are we listening to our intuition? Are you jumping into judgment or ning, 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 ning? That vibration? You're not listening to your intuition. So how are we listening as a society to each other? Are we attacking people? Are we making it about these life matters, those life matters, someone's life doesn't matter because you're saying this word? Yeah. How are we listening? And it's interesting you're bringing this up today, because yesterday I was watching this TV series, All in the Family.
Right.
And Archie Bunker was that epitome of the racist, white, old guy. Mm-hmm. He's such a brilliant actor, and he's got so much pathos and so much sincerity and so much, you relate to him. And he helped you listen to that white old guy that's crabby and annoying, but still endearing. And he's just got it. That TV series, I watch it and I cry, I feel for the characters. And there was an episode with Sammy Davis Jr., who I love. And Sammy at the end of the episode says to the reporter who's doing the cancel culture kind of speak of the 70s, saying that Archie Bunker's this terrible human being. And Sammy says, no, your tape recorder, and he says, your tape recorder doesn't feel this
man shaking my hand and the feeling I have when he shakes my hand and the way he looks into my eyes and what I feel when I look into his eyes. Your tape recorder, you can't catch that. And that's when I went, wow, that's what you're sharing, Silvia, like the language of getting caught in the language of all lives matter, Black lives matter, this life, that cancel culture, and getting stuck in the words doesn't get us into the connection. And it actually stops us from connecting because we start to believe these thoughts of separation. But that episode with Sammy Davis Jr. it really showed you that Sammy was laughing at Archie and they were making fun of Archie, but they loved him. And Archie loved Sammy. And it was really well done in a really organic way. It was probably not the truth of the 70s, but for some people, there were parts of the truth. That's why All in the Family and the Archie Bunker show worked, because it was what we were aspiring to in that period. But we knew that reality was very different. But if you spoke to people, they would have friends that were from different religions or different cultures, and all the people were trying to find that way to come together. So it was
I would say,
aspirational.
like, a lot of time TV or the movies, sometimes that they don't really offer value. They tend to be a step ahead when it comes to making things more idealistic or the goal that we go toward. And you and I growing up in the 70s, 80s, 90s, things were always getting better. So it's like if you're a woman, things were getting better. If you're a minority, even though there's still a lot of challenges, they were getting better. If, for example, my family never married outside of Catholic. So marrying a Jewish person was like such a big deal. And then marrying two Cubans was such a big deal. Like, you keep assimilating into changes. And then to see like it going backward the past few years has been very interesting. And I think it's a part of like us getting swayed into it. What are we going to nurture and yada, yada, yada. But that's a great topic. But this week, I really feel that judgment card going to liberation. We're going from politics to political enlightenment as time go by.
I do it a lot here in my home because sometimes like we gossip, and I can share a funny example. So we have a person in my family, extended family kind of thing, that has a colourful past. So colourful people, like we know a few people in politics that are very colourful. I'm not going to mention their names, but they're really easy to gossip about. Look at that person. Oh, did you see what they said? Oh my God, look at the way they did this. So I was doing that right here at home. I started having gossip. And then that morning, I had the image, you're going to break the coffee filter. You need to get a replacement. I had that thought. So as I was gossiping, crack, the coffee filter breaks. And that's how I saw I was coming from judgment. I was not just coming from judgment, I was repeating words. I was repeating thoughts that are in my family circles. So my family has these thoughts or words, they come through me and then I repeat them. Crack. And I went, oh, okay, I got to stop saying those words. And I can't stop thinking the thoughts because I'm surrounded by them. They're going to go through me. And then that day I had to buy the replacement filter because I like my coffee in the morning. But it's such a great lesson. That's one of the things that we can manifest for the judgment card for the future of our political leaders is something like I experienced, a quick realization that that is the manifestation of my thoughts. And therefore, now what do I choose? Because unless we get to see, like me with the coffee pot, it was so clear and I had to change my behavior. Otherwise, how many coffee pots am I going to break? And I like my coffee. So it was so clear I could immediately take action and I could make another choice. But I was responsible for that choice, but I wasn't guilty or a bad person for having these judgments or these thoughts because they're not really my thoughts. They're around me and circulating. So if we can get that as our next phase, to be aware of our thoughts, and that's a huge step for humanity.